several years ago, the university had a van that went around, and we called it the NIR van. And what it done is it allowed you to go out and take forage samples, and they'd bring it directly to the fair. And what I was doing, I was trying to do a hay fair and trying to get people to look at the quality of their hay. And so in doing that, I was running all over the county collecting these hay samples. And we would, the van would come one day and we'd run an analysis on them, and we was running 40, 50, 60 samples in a day's time. And so the main work was going out to the farm. Well, you schedule people to go out, and you kind of get an idea. Well, most people want one sample, some people want two. And this one guy told me, he said, Stacey, he said, I don't know exactly how many I want, but I think I maybe want about 10, maybe 15 samples. And I thought, holy smokes. I said, how many acres are we looking at? And he said, he says, I run a couple thousand acres. And I thought, okay, I better just kind of set a day apart for him. So I actually did. And that morning I crawled in the pickup with him, and sure enough, we did. We went from farm to farm sampling, and we had a whole bunch of them when we got done. And I looked at him and I said, you want all these put in hay contest? And he said, well, sure. He says, I get my hay samples done for $10 a piece, right? And I said, yeah. And so that was a big advantage to him. It was a bargain for him. And I said, you really want to be in the contest? And he said, it's fine, Stace. He said, I'm doing it for the analysis of it. I said, okay, that's good. And so we did it, and later on I called him up and I said, I got your hay samples in here. And he came in and to the office, and we were sitting there looking at it, and he said, hey, you got a table? He said, let's run and take a look at some of my forage analysis. And I said, well, sure. So we went into the table, and he had all of them, and he just started laying them across the table. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. What are you looking at? And he says, well, I'm looking at quality hays. And I said, okay, that's good. Tell me about what you're doing. Well, he says, I'm starting with the good quality stuff. And he said, I'm moving to the lower quality thing. And I thought, okay, that's good. He says, okay. He says, this one is adequate for my dry cows. He said, I know this is my poorest hay, but he says, it'll still work for my dry cows. And I said, well, that's good. And he said, I've got some calves that I want to be able to put on some food or on feed. And he said, this would be good for them. And he said, for the lactating cows, he says, this is adequate. So he was using his forage analysis or his hay analysis in looking at and making decisions, because his objective is he didn't want to use a lot of supplemental feed. And he knew that there was big differences. I mean, he had everything from Bermuda grass to fescue to clovers. He had just all kinds of different kinds of grasses and legumes that he had there and mixes thereof. But his quality, he knew what animals he's wanting to feed that quality product to. So that's the big consideration and a management thing that most people can do. Most people don't just cut hay one time. They may cut it twice or three times. And I try to encourage people to go out there and do forage tests, make good decisions on where and what animal you want to feed that hay to.